From the Grayman Briefing, this is a summary of recent developments regarding the Second Amendment, cybersecurity, protests, supply chain disruptions, national security, law and order, free speech, censorship, government oversight, and more. Now, the latest from GraymanBriefing.com. Here's this week's Sword, read out by Super Essie.
This week, federal courts blocked the Trump administration's efforts to stop the use of taxpayer funds to transition minors. The EPA pulls $50 million in funds from pro-Hamas and BLM NGO. Protests against deportations, Trump and Musk continue nationwide. A never-Trumper attempts a shooting spree. And censorship and privacy issues develop with Gmail, Oracle, DeepSeek, and Apple. All this content is delivered in real time to Grayman Briefing subscribers and compiled into a weekly document sent via email. Sign up for the briefs at graymanbriefing.com. Let's begin with government oversight. A federal judge ruled that the Trump administration must restore about 80,000 deleted web pages related to what they call public health, including those on adolescent health, abortion, LGBTQ resources, and more. The ruling follows legal challenges arguing the removals obstructed access to essential health information. Moving on, a federal judge has temporarily blocked President Trump's executive order that aimed to restrict taxpayer-funded, what they call gender-affirming care, or more accurately, genitalia mutilations for children deemed transgender by their guardians. The executive order, signed on January 28, it sought to end federal funding and support for these procedures facilitating gender transitions for minors, including prescriptions and operations such as puberty blockers and hormone therapy. In response, families of transgender youth and LGBT advocacy groups filed a lawsuit challenging that order. A Maryland federal judge granted a temporary restraining order, halting the enforcement of Trump's directive while the case proceeds. The judge expressed concern that the order, quote, seems to deny that this population even exists or deserves to exist, end quote. The legal development ensures that, for now, federal funding for medical institutions providing what the far left calls gender-affirming care to minors will continue uninterrupted. Moving on, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, has canceled a Biden administration-approved $50 million grant to the Climate Justice Alliance, or CGA. The Trump administration's head of the EPA said, "They say that climate justice runs through a free Palestine. I think that the American taxpayer wouldn't want $50 million going to this left-wing advocacy group. It's canceled," end quote. The CGA confirmed the news in a post to their website. They said, "We condemn the state-sponsored U.S.-backed genocide of Palestinian communities." And they said, "We support an anti-colonial framework to show how climate justice and the liberation of Palestine are connected." They further shared extremist content from pro-Hamas organizations. The CGA also operates the CGA Black Caucus as an effort to, quote, organize for black liberation and black self-determination. This includes addressing environmental racism in all its forms, end quote, while further saying, quote, black trans lives matter, end quote. Continuing on, President Trump has indicated that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, should be terminated, while saying that it operates as part of the, quote, deep state against U.S. interests. Trump is advocating for a shift of disaster response responsibilities to individual states. This stance emerges amidst internal controversies with FEMA, notably the dismissal of 4 employees, including the chief financial officer, for unauthorized payments totaling $59 million to New York City for housing illegal immigrants and migrants in luxury hotels. These actions were deemed a significant misuse of funds, leading to immediate terminations. The Homeland Security Secretary has expressed support for dismantling FEMA in its current form, proposing that disaster resources be managed locally. However, this proposal has faced opposition from lawmakers concerned about states' capacities to handle large-scale disasters independently. The debate centers around misuse of taxpayer funds and valid perceptions that FEMA continually is ineffective at responding to crises such as the recent hurricanes on the East Coast and the California wildfires. Now we're going to move into civil unrest. In Salem, Oregon, pro-illegal immigration activists surrounded law enforcement officers while protesting the deportation efforts. In Chamblee, Georgia, activists shut down traffic on Buford Highway. In Idaho Falls, Idaho, protesters held signs reading, "No human is illegal on stolen land," and "The pilgrims were undocumented." In Dallas, Texas, protesters blocked traffic at major intersections. In LA, California, demonstrators shut down the 101 freeway. In Seattle, Washington, activists chanted anti-Trump and anti-police slogans while marching, conducting vehicle convoys, and taking over beach pathways. Antifa also staged actions in the area. These protests followed a statement from the U.S. House Minority Leader urging citizens to, quote, "fight in the streets" against Trump's immigration policies. Continuing on February 4th, Hamas supporters and pro-Palestinian activists protested a meeting between the Israeli Prime Minister and President Trump while waving Hamas flags. On February 5th, anti-Trump activists gathered outside the Department of Labor to protest against the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, calling for non-interference in labor operations. Between the 4th and 8th of this month, anti-Trump and anti-Musk activists organized protests at state capitals nationwide, also countering Project 2025 and Trump's policies. Continuing on, in New York City, LGBT activists demonstrated against Trump's executive order banning federal funding for genitalia mutilations and medical prescriptions for minors related to what the left called gender-affirming care. Protesters chanted, quote, "Trans kids are under attack. Stand up, fight back," end quote, demanding continued access to gender transition treatments for children. Now let's continue on. Reports indicate a rise in discussions advocating political violence on Reddit following the Republican election victory. Some users called for armed resistance and target attacks on officials. The Department of Justice took notice, prompting Reddit to temporarily ban a major subreddit associated with organizing these actions. Finally, at a city council meeting in Worcester, LGBT activists called for the city to be declared a sanctuary city for transgender individuals. One activist warned that failure to do so would make the city, quote, "a very unsafe place," end quote. Let's move into major crime and extremism. On February 12th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, an anti-Trump, pro-transgender black liberation activist went armed to the terror of the public along city streets. The suspect, identified as Isaiah Stott, carried an AR-15 and began firing the weapon. Police responded. Stott shot at least one officer twice before police returned fire, killing the shooter. Stott made a series of social media posts and videos prior to the shooting. In one video, he said, quote, "You can use a firearm for like devious evil intent," end quote. Another post read, "Stand against Trump, stand for your country," end quote. In another video, he voiced support for gay and trans people. He also discussed school shootings. His intent is not clear as police responded and stopped that threat before a potential mass shooting could occur. His social media posts suggest a motive, though no manifesto has yet been revealed. Stott had previously served in the U.S. Marines, with a spokesperson advising he was discharged prematurely, indicative of a character of his service that was incongruent with Marine Corps expectations and standards. You won't see much about this one online. Let's now move into cybersecurity, censorship, and privacy. Apple agreed to a $95 million settlement after a lawsuit revealed Siri was recording user conversations without consent. The case raises concerns over privacy and unauthorized data collection. The DeepSeek AI chatbot, developed in China, was found to align with the Chinese Communist Party narratives, avoiding politically sensitive topics such as the Tiananmen Square and Taiwan. Analysts warn that the chatbot could spread state-influenced misinformation. To read more about the coverage on DeepSeek, definitely check out GraymanBriefing.com to see their whole brief on this topic. Moving on, users have reported that Gmail's automated unsubscribe suggestion feature primarily targeted conservative newsletters. Critics argue that the feature disproportionately affects right-leaning content, raising concerns over email censorship. So basically, if you have Gmail, every once in a while at the top of your inbox, you'll get a suggestion from Gmail saying, "Hey, we noticed that you're not reading these emails. they may be spam. Click here to unsubscribe. And it's picking out a specific, newsletter or email. And in all these cases, we're seeing they're from conservative news outlets like, the Daily Wire or something. Let's continue on. President Trump's executive order set a deadline of April 5th for TikTok's removal from app stores unless the company complies with U.S. regulations. The move follows, obviously, concerns over data privacy and potential foreign influence. Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison spoke at the World Government Summit in Dubai, advocating for governments to centralize national data, including spatial, economic, health, and DNA records, into a unified database analyzed by AI. He claimed that this could improve public services, healthcare, and agriculture. Critics raised concerns over privacy and mass surveillance. They warned that such a system could give governments extensive control over personal data. Ellison previously supported an AI-driven monitoring, suggesting it would encourage people to stay on their, quote, best behavior. Oracle has faced legal challenges over data tracking, settling a lawsuit in 2024 for $115 million. So that is it for this week's summary of recent developments. Remember that these briefings are delivered in real time to Grayman Briefing subscribers, sent via the Telegram and Signal apps, and also via weekly emails. That's it. You guys remain aware, be vigilant, and stay safe. Thanks for listening.
Get unredacted, real-time briefings sent via email and through the Telegram and Signal apps by joining the Grayman Briefing.